Why did Jin's mother cry after seeing the first glimpse of her son's upcoming album Echo? And what unseen family story could be hidden behind the emotional, almost painful themes Jin chose for his long-awaited solo project? The question sent shockwaves through ARMY communities worldwide today, after a close acquaintance of Jin's family allegedly revealed a deeply emotional moment that unfolded just days before Jin's sudden flight to Japan. According to the source, Jin had arranged a small, private viewing of some key concept images and draft lyrics from Echo at his family home. Present were only a handful of people, trusted staff members, his agency representative, and, crucially, his parents. As the first images appeared on screen, showing raw, almost haunting scenes of solitude, faded dreams, and lingering regret, Jin's mother reportedly burst into tears. Witnesses described the atmosphere as frozen, with even Jin himself momentarily stunned by his mother's reaction. She wasn't simply proud. She wasn't merely moved. She was devastated. Those who were there said she whispered something under her breath, barely audible but chilling enough to ripple through everyone present. "I didn't know you carried it all alone." The emotional impact of that moment cannot be overstated. ARMYs have long adored Jin for his bright, witty public persona, but among the most devoted fans, there has always been a deeper understanding that behind the laughter and self-deprecating jokes lay a man who has quietly borne incredible pressure, responsibility, and perhaps even unresolved pain. Echo had already been rumored to be Jin's most personal and introspective album to date, with themes centered around loneliness, silent endurance, and the echoes of unspoken words. But now, the incident with his mother suggests that the emotional scars Jin poured into his music may not be abstract metaphors. They might be rooted in real, lived family struggles that were never previously discussed in public. The story gained even more momentum when an anonymous insider hinted that one particular track on Echo, reportedly titled Letter I Never Sent, had brought not only Jin's mother, but also agency staff members to tears during a private pre-listening session. If true, the revelation reframes the entire narrative of Echo. It's not just an artistic evolution, but a courageous, painful unveiling of personal truths Jin has hidden for years. Social media exploded with messages of support. Hashtags like #ProtectJin, #EchoIsPersonal, and #WeAreWithYouJin soared to trending status within hours. Fans shared old interviews where Jin had subtly hinted at internal battles, such as a 2018 conversation where he said, "Sometimes I wonder if I'm allowed to say when I'm hurting too." Now those words feel heavier, more real. In an emotional twist, fans have also begun organizing online letter to Jin campaigns, encouraging ARMYs to write supportive letters or messages to Jin through hashtags and fan projects to ensure he knows he isn't carrying the emotional weight alone anymore. Meanwhile, Big Hit Music has remained silent, neither confirming nor denying the incident. But in the world of K-pop, silence often speaks louder than statements. What remains clear is this: Echo is no longer just a highly anticipated musical comeback. It's a window into a part of Jin's soul he has shielded from the world for far too long. And whether or not Jin ever publicly addresses the moment with his mother, the heartbreak embedded in the album's DNA is already changing how the world views him, not just as a superstar, but as a human being whose battles were hidden behind the brightest smile. As May 16th approaches, the release of Echo now carries the weight of countless unasked questions. What truths are hidden in the lyrics Jin has finally dared to write? And will we, as listeners, be strong enough to hear them? Because if Jin's music has taught us anything, it's that sometimes the most beautiful echoes come from the deepest scars. And as the hours pass, new layers to the story begin to unfold, painting an even more poignant, heartbreaking picture of what might truly be happening behind the scenes. Late last night, a Korean journalist known for close connections to BTS's early circle posted a cryptic message. "The song you will hear soon is not for the stage. It's a letter. It's an apology. It's a memory Jin once tried to forget." Though no names were mentioned, within minutes ARMYs knew exactly who and what he meant. Speculation turned to near certainty. Echo was no longer just an album, it was a confession that had taken Jin years to prepare the courage to face. Whispers surfaced among fan translators, suggesting that during the private family listening session, when Jin's mother cried, she reportedly apologized to Jin, saying, "We should have seen it sooner. We should have listened better." The weight of that single sentence devastated fans across the globe. What was it that Jin endured quietly in his younger years? Was it the brutal demands of an early debut at an age when most of his peers were still discovering themselves? Was it loneliness masked by schedules, smiles, and rehearsals that never seemed to end? Or was it a deeper, more personal struggle, hidden even from those who loved him most? Those closest to Jin's journey remember well. During his early BTS days, Jin was often misunderstood even within the fandom. Many underestimated him, assuming he was simply the group's visual, without recognizing the sacrifices he made behind the cameras, the countless nights he spent refining his vocals alone, or the burdens he bore to keep a cheerful front for the sake of the team's morale. Now it seems Echo will finally lift the veil Jin has worn for over a decade. And his mother's emotional reaction is the first undeniable evidence of just how deep the wounds run. Photos of Jin in Japan began surfacing this morning, showing him arriving at what is rumored to be an old recording studio in a quiet district of Tokyo, far from the bustling city center, hidden among the cherry blossom trees just beginning to bloom. His face was somber, focused. An insider who spoke under condition of anonymity revealed one chilling detail. Jin requested the studio lights remain dim during the recording sessions, wanting the room to feel like a dream that is fading. It's a symbolic move, aligning perfectly with the emotional landscape Echo seems poised to explore. But what has fans holding their breath the most is a rumor that one song on the album contains a direct reference to a moment between Jin and his parents, a moment fans have never heard about before. A moment that, if true, could change how the world sees not just Jin the artist, but Jin the son, Jin the young boy who chased an impossible dream while carrying unseen grief on his back. Online forums buzz with decoded snippets of alleged lyrics leaked by studio insiders. If only you had knocked before you left. If only you had waited until the rain stopped. The metaphor is raw, almost brutal in its simplicity. Fans are already interpreting it as Jin addressing his younger self, or perhaps addressing the feeling of emotional abandonment he once faced, even within his own home. And as these interpretations flood social media, so too does the wave of emotional confessions from ARMYs who find their own stories mirrored in Jin's. People who grew up overlooked, burdened, silenced are finding an unexpected voice through the thin, fragile hope that Jin's Echo will bring healing. Not just for him, but for millions who walk the same lonely paths. Meanwhile, Big Hit's silence continues, almost strategic, almost reverent. It's as if they too understand that this time, no promotional blurb, no flashy teaser, could ever do justice to the rawness of what Jin is about to unveil. Instead, the company reportedly canceled one planned early teaser, choosing instead to let the music speak when the time comes. A move that fans interpret as a rare, respectful acknowledgement that Echo is different. It is sacred. Already, advance pre-orders for Echo have smashed all previous records for a Korean soloist album, and it hasn't even released a full single yet. The numbers are historic, but for once no one seems to care about records. This isn't about sales. This isn't about awards. It's about a young man finally daring to place his deepest truths in the hands of the world, not knowing whether he will be embraced or broken in the process. And his mother's tears, raw, unstoppable, were perhaps the clearest signal of all. That Echo is an album of reckoning. For Jin, for his family, for anyone who has ever loved quietly, suffered silently, and dreamed without permission. Now all that's left is to listen. And when we finally hear Jin's Echo, it won't just be a sound reverberating through speakers. It will be the tremor of a heart that dared to stay open in a world that told him to hide.